Right now, someone in your life is playing you like a fiddle. And the most terrifying part? You probably send them a Christmas card every year. That colleague who always finds something wrong with your presentations while smiling sweetly. That friend who guilt trips you every time you can't drop your weekend plans for their latest emergency. That family member who somehow makes every holiday dinner about how you're disappointing them. That romantic interest who makes you question whether that conversation actually happened the way you remember it. You've been programmed to mistake emotional terrorism for caring, to confuse manipulation for love, to think that constantly walking on eggshells around someone means you're being considerate. But here's what cutting-edge behavioral psychology has exposed about toxic people. They never announce themselves as predators. Real manipulators don't scream. They whisper poison into your ear. They don't make demands. They plant suggestions that feel like your own ideas. They don't control through obvious force. They control by making you doubt your own reality until you become dependent on theirs. That unexplained anxiety that hits you after certain phone calls. That bone-deep exhaustion after helping someone who never actually gets better. That feeling like you're constantly defending yourself to people who claim they love you. That's not you being oversensitive. That's your nervous system screaming. Warnings about psychological predators you've been conditioned to protect. The cost isn't just your peace of mind. It's your entire potential. Your dreams. Your ability to build the life you actually deserve. Because when emotional vampires are constantly draining your mental energy, you have nothing left for your own transformation. Here's what most people never realize. Manipulators have a radar for specific psychological profiles. They can spot their ideal victims from across a crowded room. They know exactly which buttons to push, which insecurities to exploit, which fears to weaponize against you. In the next minutes, I'm going to expose the 7 most dangerous manipulation tactics with surgical precision. You'll discover exactly how these psychological predators operate, why they target certain people, and most importantly, how to spot them before they completely hijack your reality. But I need to warn you, once you see these patterns, you can never unsee them. You'll start recognizing them everywhere in your workplace, your family, maybe even in your closest relationships. Some of you will realize you've been living with these toxic dynamics for years, decades even, thinking it was normal. The question is, are you ready to never be played again? Here's the uncomfortable truth that no one talks about. Manipulators don't target random people. They have a radar for specific psychological profiles, and the biggest target on your back is being someone who always gives in. If you're the person who says it's fine when it's not fine, who avoids confrontation at all costs, who would rather sacrifice your own needs than deal with someone's displeasure, you're broadcasting a signal to every manipulator within a 50-mile radius. Easy target here. This pattern usually starts in childhood. Maybe you learned that keeping the peace was your job. Maybe you discovered that your needs didn't matter as much as everyone else's comfort. Maybe you were praised for being the easy one while your siblings got attention for being difficult. Whatever the origin, you developed what psychologists call conflict avoidance conditioning. Here's how this plays out in adult relationships. When your boss asks you to work late again on Friday night, you say yes even though you had dinner plans with your partner. When your friend consistently shows up an hour late to every coffee date, you don't say anything because you don't want to seem controlling. When your roommate leaves dirty dishes in the sink for days, you just clean them yourself to avoid the awkward conversation. Manipulators study this behavior like scientists. They test your boundaries with small violations first. They'll interrupt you mid-sentence to see if you'll speak up. They'll make plans that affect you without consulting you to see if you'll object. They'll criticize something you care about to see if you'll defend it. Each time you don't push back, they're gathering data about how much they can get away with. The manipulation escalates gradually. What starts as small boundary crossings becomes major violations of your autonomy, time, and emotional well-being. But because it happens incrementally, your brain adapts to each new level of dysfunction until what should feel alarming starts feeling normal. The most dangerous part? Your people-pleasing tendencies make you rationalize their behavior. They're just stressed. They don't mean it that way. I'm probably being too sensitive. You become complicit in your own manipulation by constantly making excuses for behavior you would never tolerate from a stranger. Breaking this pattern requires recognizing that your need to avoid conflict is being weaponized against you. Healthy relationships can handle disagreement. Toxic ones punish you for having boundaries, and that's exactly how you know you're being played. Most people can't tell the difference between healthy influence and toxic manipulation because both can change your behavior. But understanding this distinction could save you years of psychological damage and protect you from being played by people who've mastered the art of disguise. Healthy influence is transparent. When your mentor suggests you take a public speaking class, they explain their reasoning. I've noticed you have great ideas but seem hesitant to share them in meetings. This could help you advance your career. The motivation is clear. The benefit is yours and you're free to decline without consequences. Manipulation operates in shadows. When a manipulator wants to change your behavior, they don't tell you directly. Instead, they might say, "I noticed Jessica got that promotion after she started speaking up more in meetings. I guess some people are just naturally more confident." Same goal, but now you're left wondering if you're inadequate, if you should change, if they're disappointed in you. The key difference lies in 3 critical areas: transparency, benefit, and freedom of choice. Transparency means healthy influence. States intentions clearly. "I think you should consider therapy because you seem stressed lately, and I care about your well-being." Manipulation hides intentions behind concern. "Are you sure you're okay? You've seemed really off lately. Maybe you should talk to someone." Professional. Benefit reveals who really wins. Healthy influence serves your interests, even if it also serves theirs. A good manager might push you to take on challenging projects because it develops your skills and advances your career. Manipulation primarily serves the manipulator's interests, while disguising it as helping you. Freedom of choice is the big one. Healthy influence accepts no gracefully. Manipulation punishes resistance through guilt, withdrawal of affection, or subtle retaliation. Watch for these manipulation red flags. They use your insecurities against you. "I'm just worried you're not ready for that responsibility." They create false urgency. "You need to decide right now." They make you feel guilty for questioning them. "I can't believe you don't trust me after everything I've done for you." The most sophisticated manipulators use what psychologists call emotional reasoning. They make you feel like their request is the logical conclusion of caring about them. "If you really loved me, you would. A good friend would. I thought I could count on you." Here's your protection. Before making any significant decision influenced by someone else, ask yourself 3 questions. What do they gain from this? Am I free to say no without consequences? Do I feel pressured or genuinely convinced? Trust your gut. If something feels like manipulation, it probably is, and you're about to be played. Gaslighting isn't just lying. It's a systematic assault on your perception of reality designed to make you dependent on the manipulator's version of truth. And it's happening to more people than you realize, turning confident individuals into confused, self-doubting shells of themselves. The term comes from a 1944 movie where a husband dims the gas lights in their home while convincing his wife she's imagining it. Modern gaslighting is more subtle but equally devastating. It works by introducing small distortions into your reality until you can no longer trust your own memory, perception, or judgment. Here's how it typically unfolds in real relationships. Stage 1 is contradiction. They tell you something didn't happen the way you remember it. "I never said that. You're remembering it wrong. That's not what happened." Initially, you might push back, but they seem so certain that you start to doubt yourself. Stage 2 is confusion. They begin rewriting history more boldly. Conversations that left you upset somehow become your fault in retrospect. "You're being too sensitive. You always overreact. I was just trying to help." Your emotional responses are consistently invalidated until you stop trusting them entirely. Stage 3 is dependence. After months or years of having your reality questioned, you start checking with them before trusting your own perceptions. "Did I really say that? Am I being unreasonable? Maybe. I am too sensitive." You've become dependent on their version of reality because you no longer trust your own. The most insidious part? Gaslighters often target your biggest insecurities with laser precision. If you're worried about being too emotional, they'll consistently tell you you're overreacting. If you're concerned about your memory, they'll frequently correct your recollection of events. They weaponize your self-doubt against you. Common gaslighting phrases to watch for: "You're being paranoid." "That never happened." "You're too sensitive." "You're imagining things." "I never said that." "You're remembering it wrong." "You're being dramatic." "I was just joking." The antidote is documentation. Start writing down important conversations immediately after they happen. Note what was said, when, and how it made you feel. When someone tries to rewrite history, You'll have your own record to reference. Most importantly, trust your emotional responses. If you consistently feel confused, diminished, or crazy after interactions with someone, that's data worth paying attention to. Regardless of how reasonable they seem on the surface, your reality is valid. Your memories matter. Your perceptions are trustworthy. Never let anyone convince you otherwise. The most dangerous manipulators aren't the obvious bullies. They're the ones who never lose their temper, never make direct demands, and always seem concerned about your well-being. They've mastered passive manipulation, and it's devastatingly effective because you never see it coming. These manipulators understand that overt aggression triggers people's defenses, so instead, they operate through what psychologists call covert aggression. They get what they want through indirect methods that are harder to identify and confront, making you feel like you're going crazy for even questioning their motives. Their primary weapons are strategic kindness, manufactured concern, and emotional blackmail disguised as care. They'll say things like, "I just want what's best for you," while systematically undermining your confidence. "I'm only telling you this because I care," before delivering criticism that leaves you feeling diminished and confused. Here's their playbook. They use excessive praise followed by subtle criticism. "You're so talented, but I worry you're not reaching your potential." The praise hooks you. The criticism plants doubt. They position themselves as your biggest supporter, while consistently making you feel inadequate and dependent on their approval. They excel at playing the victim when confronted. If you point out their behavior, they become hurt and confused. "I can't believe you think I would manipulate you. I'm just trying to help." They make you feel guilty for questioning their motives, even when your instincts are screaming that something's wrong. The too nice manipulator also uses strategic helpfulness. They'll do things for you that you didn't ask for, then use those favors as leverage later. "After everything I've done for you" becomes their favorite phrase when you don't comply with their wishes. It's emotional debt collection disguised as generosity. They're masters of the backhanded compliment. "You look great for your age. You're so brave to wear that. I wish I had your confidence to not care what people think." Each statement sounds positive but leaves you feeling worse about yourself, questioning your choices and seeking their validation. Watch for these red flags. They give compliments that don't feel good. They're always just trying to help in ways you didn't request. They remember every favor they've done for you. They make you feel guilty for not appreciating their concern. They seem hurt when you set boundaries. Their kindness feels conditional and strategic. The protection is recognizing that genuine kindness doesn't come with strings attached. Real support builds you up consistently, not just when it serves their agenda. Trust your gut over their words. If someone's help consistently leaves you feeling worse about yourself, it's not help at all. The biggest lie manipulators tell empathetic people is that having boundaries makes you selfish, cold, or uncaring. This keeps you trapped in toxic dynamics because you're afraid that protecting yourself means you're a bad person. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Boundaries are your secret weapon against being played. Let's destroy this myth right now. Boundaries are not walls. They're not about shutting people out or becoming heartless. Boundaries are about creating healthy parameters for how you allow others to treat you. They're actually essential for maintaining genuine empathy, because they prevent you from becoming so depleted that you have nothing left to give. Think of boundaries like the safety instructions on an airplane. Put your own oxygen mask on first before helping others. You can't help anyone if you're suffocating. Similarly, you can't maintain healthy relationships if you're constantly being drained by toxic ones that leave you emotionally bankrupt. Here's what healthy boundaries look like in practice. Emotional boundaries. I care about you, but I'm not available to discuss this right now. Time boundaries. I can help you for 30 minutes, but then I need to focus on my own work. Energy boundaries. I've noticed our conversations often leave me feeling drained. Let's try to balance talking about problems with sharing positive things too. The key is being direct without being defensive. You don't need to justify your boundaries with elaborate explanations. "That doesn't work for me" is a complete sentence. "I'm not comfortable with that" requires no further justification. "I need some space" doesn't need a detailed explanation that gives manipulators ammunition to argue with you. Manipulators will test your boundaries immediately. They'll push back with guilt. "I thought I could count on you." They'll use manipulation. "You're being selfish." They'll try emotional blackmail. "Fine, I guess I'll figure it out myself." This is actually confirmation that your boundary was necessary. Healthy people respect boundaries even if they're disappointed. The most important boundary skill is learning to tolerate other people's disappointment without rushing to fix their emotions. Manipulators count on your discomfort with their negative emotions to make you abandon your limits. But their disappointment is not your emergency. Their discomfort is not your responsibility to manage. Start small. Practice saying no to minor requests without over-explaining. Notice how it feels to let someone be disappointed without immediately trying to make them feel better. Build your boundary muscles gradually, and watch how quickly you stop being an easy target. Remember, you can be compassionate without being compliant. You can care about someone without carrying their emotional burdens. Boundaries don't make you less empathetic. They make your empathy sustainable and protect you from being played. Most manipulation happens through subtext, implication, and emotional pressure rather than direct statements. But there's a simple technique borrowed from investigative psychology that can expose hidden agendas in real time and protect you from being played: strategic questioning. These 3 questions work because they force manipulators to be explicit about intentions they prefer to keep hidden. They also buy you time to think clearly, instead of reacting emotionally to pressure tactics that are designed to outsmart your logical thinking. Question 1. What specifically are you asking me to do? This cuts through vague requests and emotional manipulation to get to the concrete ask. Manipulators often bury their real requests in stories, complaints, or emotional appeals. They'll spend 20 minutes talking about their problems, then look at you expectantly without ever directly asking for help. When someone says, "I'm so overwhelmed with everything going on," instead of automatically offering to help, ask, "What specifically are you asking me to do?" This forces them to be direct about whether they want advice, emotional support, practical help, or something else entirely. Watch how uncomfortable this makes manipulators who prefer to operate in gray areas. Question 2. What happens if I say no? This reveals the consequences of non-compliance and exposes whether you truly have a choice. Healthy requests come with genuine freedom to decline. Manipulative requests come with hidden penalties for saying no that they don't want you to see coming. Pay attention to their response. Do they respect your right to decline? Do they try to make you feel guilty? Do they withdraw affection or become cold? Do they threaten consequences? Their reaction tells you everything about their true intentions and whether you're about to be played. Question 3. Why is this urgent right now? Manipulators love manufactured urgency because it prevents you from thinking clearly. They create artificial time pressure to force quick decisions that serve their interests while bypassing your natural defenses. Most genuine emergencies are obvious. If someone needs to convince you something is urgent, it probably isn't. Real emergencies don't require elaborate explanations about why they can't wait until you've had time to think it through properly. Here's how to use these questions effectively. Ask them calmly and genuinely, as if you're seeking clarification rather than challenging them. Don't use an accusatory tone. Present them as reasonable requests for information that any honest person would welcome. Watch their body language and emotional response as much as their words. Manipulators often become defensive, frustrated, or try to make you feel bad for asking clarifying questions. People with genuine intentions welcome clarity and never punish you for wanting to understand what you're agreeing to. Dr. Marcus Chen had been practicing clinical psychology for 18 years when he met Isabella, a 29-year-old tech consultant who seemed like the ideal patient. She was articulate, insightful, and appeared genuinely committed to personal growth. What he didn't realize was that he was about to become a masterclass in how even trained professionals can be systematically played by sophisticated manipulators. Isabella began therapy claiming she wanted to work on relationship patterns. She was charming, intelligent, and seemed to have remarkable self-awareness. She would analyze her own behavior with psychological terminology, making observations that impressed Dr. Chen with their depth and accuracy. It felt like working with a colleague rather than a patient, but subtle red flags emerged over the first few months. Isabella would arrive early and stay late, engaging Dr. Chen in conversations that felt more personal than professional. She remembered details about his life that he'd mentioned in passing and would ask follow-up questions that seemed caring, but were actually boundary violations designed to create artificial intimacy. She began positioning herself as different from his other patients. "I know you probably don't get many clients who understand psychology like I do. I bet it's refreshing to work with someone who actually gets it." She was creating a sense of specialness and uniqueness that made Dr. Chen feel appreciated, and understood in ways that compromised his professional judgment. The manipulation escalated when Isabella started having crises that required extra sessions, phone calls, and extended appointments. Each crisis seemed legitimate in isolation, but the pattern was designed to make her the center of his professional attention. She was consuming more and more of his time and emotional energy, while never actually implementing any therapeutic strategies. The breakthrough came when Dr. Chen consulted with a colleague about feeling unusually drained after Isabella's sessions. His colleague pointed out something crucial. Despite months of insights and breakthroughs, Isabella's behavior patterns remained completely unchanged. She was performing therapy rather than engaging in it. Dr. Chen realized he'd been manipulated. Through several sophisticated tactics, Isabella had used his professional identity against him by making him feel like an exceptional therapist. She'd exploited his helper instincts by creating constant crises. She'd violated boundaries so gradually that he didn't notice until the therapeutic relationship had become completely unbalanced. The most insidious part was how Isabella had weaponized psychological language to avoid accountability. She would say things like, "I know I'm being manipulative, or I realize this is my narcissistic tendency." But the self-awareness was performative, designed to disarm his professional judgment and make him think she was different from other manipulators. When Dr. Chen finally set firm boundaries, Isabella's true nature emerged. She became hostile, threatened to file complaints, and tried to turn other patients against him. The mask came off completely, revealing the calculated nature of her previous behavior and proving that even professionals can be expertly played. You now possess something most people will never have: the ability to see psychological manipulation before it destroys your life. But knowledge without action is just entertainment. The question is, what are you going to do with this information to make sure you're never played again? Some of you are sitting there right now realizing you've been living with these toxic patterns for months, years, maybe even decades. You're thinking about that coworker, that family member, that friend, that partner. You're seeing the patterns with crystal clarity for the first time, and it's probably overwhelming. That discomfort you're feeling, that's your authentic self recognizing how much of your life energy has been stolen by people who never deserved access to it. But here's what I need you to understand. You are not powerless. You never were. The only reason these manipulation tactics worked is because no one ever taught you to recognize them. Now you can spot them coming from a mile away and protect yourself before they strike. Your next steps are crucial. First, start documenting. Write down the patterns you've recognized in your relationships. Note how you feel after interactions with specific people. Trust that data over their explanations, their excuses, their manufactured concern. Second, practice the techniques I've shared. Use those 3 strategic questions. Set those boundaries without apology. Trust your emotional responses over their words. Start small, but start today. Every boundary you set makes you harder to manipulate. Third, remember that you don't owe anyone access to your life energy. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. You don't have to sacrifice your mental health on the altar of someone else's dysfunction just because they've convinced you it's normal. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. They'll celebrate your growth. They'll want you to protect yourself from toxic people, even if that means protecting yourself from them. The people who get angry when you start setting boundaries, they're telling you exactly why those boundaries were necessary in the first place. You deserve relationships that energize you, not drain you. You deserve people who build you up, not tear you down. You deserve to feel safe, respected, and valued in every relationship in your life. And now you have the tools to make sure that happens. If this video opened your eyes to manipulation tactics you've been experiencing, I want to hear about it. Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to recognize their own situation and stop being played. And if you found this valuable, share it with someone who needs to see it. We're building a community of people who refuse to be manipulated, controlled, or played. People who choose healthy relationships and have the psychological tools to maintain them. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because next week, I'm revealing the 5 phrases that instantly shut down any manipulator. These are psychological circuit breakers that stop manipulation in its tracks, and I guarantee you've never heard them before. Remember, you were never meant to be anyone's emotional punching bag, energy source, or psychological plaything. You were meant to thrive, to be respected, to have your reality validated. Now you have the power to make sure that happens. Never be played again.